Okay, well, hi everybody. I hope you're doing great. Today we are going to go over building basic shapes in Illustrator, and I would say that using shapes to create graphics and drawing in Illustrator is probably the most powerful foundational tool in Illustrator. There's something called the pen tool, and there's a pencil tool in there, and those are useful in certain circumstances, but I would say for the most part, people use shapes to make, whatever it is that they're making in Illustrator. So that is what we are going to kind of look at today. The very first thing, though, that I want you to do is I want you to make your way to color.adobe.com, linked in the tutorial assignment as well. And we're going to look around this interface a little bit. And we will be looking at this a few different times throughout the course in different ways because it is such a powerful tool. You need to make sure that you're logged in with your credentials for Adobe Creative Cloud, and that's going to allow your online and web account stuff to communicate with the apps on your computer. So for the sake of time, there's like a lot of different things you can do in here. So you can create your own palettes here in different ways. You can change the color harmonies over here. You can explore. You can look at what's popular. There's a lab here where you can take an actual image and drop it in there. Let me see. I do have an image on my desktop, so let me go ahead and just drag this in here. Nope. Oh, SVG file. What? Oh, it's to recolor. I'm sorry. This is brand new, so I don't know what I'm doing. Haha. Okay. So you can recolor your vector artwork in here. Probably similar to the generative recolor that is in Illustrator. And then there's libraries here. So let's go to the Explore tab. And what I want you to do is I want you to search for a color palette that you might want to use today. So I know that I'm going to be using simple shapes with bulky lines. So I'm going to go for like a retro or vintage kind of color palette for today. So the first thing I want to do here is you want to go ahead. I actually already have a library called Retro, but what you're going to want to do is you can create a new library and you can enter the name here and you can go ahead and create it for today. But I'm not going to create a new one because I have way too many libraries already. So I'm going to go through here and I'm kind of liking this one. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to the library. Now remember, it's going to add it to whatever library you have up here. So that's why I want to create that new library. I'm kind of thinking that this is pretty cool. I like this. So I'm going to add it to library. See, it says added to library. And there we go. So pick a couple of color schemes to work with today that you might like to work with, and we're going to go ahead and launch Illustrator. Let's go ahead and go with a new file. Our template is going to pop up here, and I'm going to go ahead and go, I'll go to Art and Illustration, I guess. This, we can go ahead, I'll just go ahead and choose the poster. You can kind of pick whatever you want. It doesn't really matter because you can always resize your artboard in Illustrator anyways, but, and I'm going to call this shapes because that's what we're doing today. I want to get a sense of what these are in inches. 18 by 24 is pretty big, so I'm just going to change this to 11 by 17. And then this is, only going to be seen digitally. So we'll leave it in the RGB color spectrum in that color mode, and we'll just leave everything else as is. Okay, so here we have our artboard, and just as a quick refresh, you can change the size of your artboard. Your artboard tool is right down here at the bottom. The quick key for that is Shift-O. If you click on that tool, you can resize your artboard as needed depending on what you're doing. If you are going to print something or you need something to fit specifically a certain size, then, you would want to leave your artboard as is because that's the frame or constraint in which you're working with. But anyway, that's how you can kind of change that around if you want to change the size of it. All right, and let's see. So we are going to start off with a few different things. The first thing is that we are going to be using the Pathfinder tool. If you don't have this panel open, which you probably don't, I'm just going to close mine. You can clearly find it under Window, Pathfinder. You're going to see that you get a transformation and an alignment panel as well. I use the alignment panel constantly, and you probably will too. But anyways, let's go ahead and start off. So this tool is basically a really fancy cookie cutter, and it's going to cut your shapes into a bunch of different scenarios for you. This one is, going to take several shapes and bring them together into one. This will cut punch out, or the minus front. As you hover over them, you can kind of see what they all do. We're only going to be using the Unite one, which is probably the one that's most commonly used for today. But you are free to play around with the other ones, as we're kind of moving along. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I want to make, let's say, like a new little badge for maybe social media or something. I'm ready for a new badge on all my little circular, photo for my accounts. So I want to make, since I'm dealing with retro colors and we are going to make a simple shape, the first shape we're going to do is a heart. Yeah, we're going to go with that and then add some of that retro color to it. So let's actually go ahead and bring up our colors in libraries here. So if you don't have your libraries tab open, you can find that under Windows. So here's libraries. Sometimes this can be finicky syncing with your account. So make sure that you're signed into your Creative Cloud Manager and that you're signed into Adobe. And if you don't see this pop up or you get an error message, you can close everything out, sign out of your Creative Cloud Manager, sign back in, open Illustrator back up. If you're still having issues beyond that, please reach out to me and I will try to assist you one-on-one, because sometimes there's just some little finicky stuff that can get you from, not being able to access your colors. So I already have quite a few colors in retro, but you can see, I've added this color theme. I've actually added twice, which must mean that I really, really like it. And here, let's see, this is a color theme that I added just a few minutes ago. But I've got quite a few choices in here, so make sure you have a couple of schemes in here to choose from. So we have lots of fun color to use today. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just make a rectangle. You can, it doesn't have to be exact, but maybe like a 1-to-2 ratio where one side on the short side is 2 on the longer side, something like that. And the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to use the direct selection tool here, and we are going to round out these 2 corners. So we're going to click off of our shape. It always selects all the shapes automatically. Let me zoom in here so you can see what is going on. I am going to shift select these top 2 corners, and as we hover over the little blue dots, I'm just going to go ahead and bring that all the way in. And then I'm going to go ahead and back out, and you see that we have this sort of, it's a rectangle with a rounded top. Okay. And so now what we are going to do is go ahead and duplicate this and make 2 of them. So I'm going to hover over the path here, and I am going to hold down my option key here. I'm just blanking out right at the moment what that key is on a PC keyboard. I'd have to look. was just using Illustrator on a PC yesterday, and I think it's the Alt key, Alt or Option. Yeah. All right. So let me back up. I am talking and doing and not explaining. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to rock both of these 45 degrees. So now that we have two of these, I'm going to hover over the corner here. I'm going to hold my Shift key down, and it's only going to let it rotate in 45-degree increments. So let me go ahead and rock this one back, and there we go. And if we bring those together, we have a heart shape. And so what you can do is you can kind of zoom in and just really make sure that these are sitting on top of each other. And you can kind of tell, you know, by looking where this rectangle ends and this one begins, and they look like they're sitting really well on top of each other. So now what we can do is use the Pathfinder tool, because right now this is two different shapes and we want it to just become one shape. So let's go ahead and marquee select both of those shapes, and we are going to unite those shapes. And now we have this fantastic little heart to make a new badge for social media accounts, let's say. Okay, now you can make adjustments to this, like let's say you want to bring it in a little bit more, you want to have it have a little bit different shape. You can make adjustments like that. I'm going to leave it how it was because I want this to be a fairly geometric looking heart. You could also come in and, you know, make some adjustments with your direct selection tool and move those anchors around. But I really do want this to be very simple, kind of geometric looking heart. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and let's select a new fill for this. So I'm going to come on over to fill, and I don't have my new colors in here yet. So I can go ahead and just choose them from the libraries panel itself if I want. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this green, but I can also, you know, easily add them into my swatch panel if I just hit Control and click and right click on a PC, and you're going to add the theme to swatches. It's totally a preference thing. Like some people just pick the colors from the libraries panel, but I like to add it to swatches, just because it's less like clicking over. You know, it's less clicks, I guess, for me. So it depends on how much you're gonna be using them, I suppose. Okay, so I have this lovely heart shape, but I want there to be multiples, and I want the heart to kind of grow outward. So how can I make multiples of this heart really quickly and you know, make it look fantastic? We're going to use something called the offset tool. So we're going to go ahead and highlight the heart, and if we go to Object, Path, Offset Path, go ahead and click on that. You're going to get a dialog box that comes up, and it's usually has some kind of default setting to it, and you can change this. So let's say I don't want 0.1389, I want 0.2. If I put 2 in there and hit tab, it's going to give me a preview. If you're not seeing a preview, you probably don't have the preview checked, so just make sure you have that checked. And this 0.2 is working for me. I really like that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now I need one more of these, so I'm going to go into Path, Offset Path again, and it's going to make that third heart for me. And it's going to default to whatever, you know, I gave it the last time. So that's going to work. And Offset Path is a tool that is used a lot for a lot of different things. So it's a very good tool to know about and to use. I'm going to come on over here and pick new colors. I'm going to pick that bright orange for the outer heart here.